Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohio. So today we're going to be looking at the 2022 Ohio Senate race and some new polls that have come out for both the Republican and Democratic primaries. So we'll start with the Republican primary, who we had not seen any polls for a very long time, when all of a sudden, over the last 3 days, three polls came out. So this poll from the University of Akron uh, was technically it says it was March 15th, but to February 17th, so it was kind of conducted over a long period of time. But keep in mind, this was before any of the debates. So this new poll actually has Josh Mandel retaking the lead over Mike Gibbons, albeit very narrowly, with Josh Mandel receiving 22% of the vote, Mike Gibbons receiving 21%, J.D. Vance coming in at third place with 10%, Jane Timken in fourth at 6%, and Matt Dolan in fifth at 5%. Now, this poll is basically the exact same poll that we've seen literally this entire race, so this does not really surprise me, especially considering this was before any of the Senate debates in which J.D. Vance had an excellent showing. Josh Mandel and Mike Gibbons kind of flundered a bit. So, it is just interesting to note that this poll that came before, we can almost disregard it a little bit because it was still kind of connected to the pre-debate thing. But this poll by Fabrizio Lee, which is actually it's a JD Vance internal poll, so keep this also with a grain of salt. This was just a few days ago, March 30th to 31st. Has a three-way tie for first place with J.D. Vance, Josh Mandel, and Mike Gibbons, all tied at 18%, with Jane Timken and Matt Dolan each tied at 9% each in second place. So this race has pretty much a three-way tie for first place, and then a two-way tie for second. So, so this poll is just interesting to look at. I would also kind of take that one with a grain of salt because it was a J.D. Vance internal. But I will say this: I am pretty concerned about J.D. Vance's campaign, considering the fact that a poll done by his internal only has him tied with Gibbons and Mandel. Now we only have about a month we have less than a month until the primaries, and to be honest, I really thought we would have seen a boost in terms of J.D. Vance's support in this amount of time, and by now, but it seems like that's not really going to happen. J.D. Vance even his own internal is really only tied with Mike Gibbons and Mandel, which is very concerning to me. I'm going to be honest. So this other poll, which was by the More Information Group, now this is a Jane Timken internal poll. So this poll is absolute shit. I do not even look at this recent poll, the most recent poll by More Information Group. This is by Jane Timken. This is literally Jane Timken's own poll. So this poll, but let's look at it anyway. So this poll by Jane Timken, which, like I said, poll is absolute shit, has Mike Gibbons at 20%, Josh Mandel at 16%, Jane Timken in third place. I'm sorry, but there's not a single Ohioan I have talked to who unironically supports Jane Timken for Senate. Before the debate, I knew a few people, but after the debates, they're like, absolutely not. The debates really changed a lot of people's views on Jane Timken. She just repeated the same, like, three talking points over and over again. It was annoying as hell. And so there's no way Jane Timken is in third place with 15%. But the even bigger joke about this poll is that Matt Dolan, the rhino who thinks that tax cuts equal conservatism, who when asked about his conservative views, he said, "My tax cuts," and he ran about how much he cut the taxes and all that good shit. But Matt Dolan, the rhino who only cares about tax cuts, is apparently beating the populist paleo conservative in the state of Ohio. Apparently, J.D. Vance is in last place behind Matt Dolan. I am sorry, but when I saw this poll, I was like, okay, it's a Timken internal. It's probably going to be off a little bit. But as soon as I saw the Dolan J.D. Vance statistics, I was like, yeah, no, that is that is not it. So, like I said, this poll here, I also would look at this poll with very little give this poll very little credit. So really, we had three polls come out for the Ohio Senate race, and in reality, all three of them are not probably very accurate. This one, the most recent one, obviously is by Jane Timken's campaign, and it has Matt Dolan beating J.D. Vance. It has the neocon beating the populist in Ohio, which is like, yeah, no, I don't buy that for one bit. For Fabrizio Lee, which is J.D. Vance's internal, which I get that a little bit of credit, especially considering the fact that they are tied. You'd think that like Timken's race, there'd be a huge uptick for Timken, and there is an uptick for J.D. Vance as well. But so I also don't give this one as much credit either. Out of the three, this is probably the most accurate. This one or Akron, but Akron's was probably the most accurate, followed by Fabrizio Lee, and then More Information Group. Excuse me. The only reason that Akron's is, but even Akron's, like I said, it's the most accurate out of the three, but it was conducted before any debate, before anyone even really got to see the candidates debate. So really, all we had seen was ads so far. So really, I'm just waiting for the next poll to come out. I feel like the next poll that comes out is really going to be the best estimate of how the race is going, because all these three have a lot of bias, or the two of the three have a lot of bias, and the third was conducted way too early on, in my opinion. So that this same poll by the University of Akron, which is actually relatively accurate. I looked at their polls before in Ohio. This has a recent poll with Tim Ryan and Tracy Johnson and Morgan Harper. So this race is actually very interesting because it shows that Morgan Harper is actually getting a little bit of ground on Tim Ryan. Not a whole lot, but she is doing actually better than I expected. So I guess look at this: Morgan Harper at 18% to Tim Ryan's 43%, still 37% undecided. So like I said, Tim Ryan is the more I don't want to say he's more he is pretty establishmentarian. He's been in Congress since like 2000, but he likes to pretend he's this like working class champion. But he's iffy on a lot of issues. If you watch my one video, you would know that. But so looking at this, it does look like Tim Ryan is going to continue to cruise to the Democratic primary victory. However, I am interested to see if there's any polls that come out since now, because Morgan Harper, I have seen her doing a lot of like grassroots campaign stuff, and she is gaining a little bit of ground here. I mean, Tim Ryan's percentage also went up, but keep in mind there's also like 51% undecided from the last poll, so a lot of voters out there. So I'm very interested to see if Morgan Harper continues to make up some ground on Tim Ryan, because this is a huge jump, and Morgan Harper has done a lot of grassroots campaigning, similar to Joe Blysten on the governorship, and we'll probably make a video on that in the coming days, because maybe, I don't know. There hasn't really been a lot that's come out of that race thus far from what I've seen. So with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.